Hi, I'm Barbara, and I'm back again from the North Brunswick Library to read to you the very last part of Everything I Need to Know I Learned from Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. And the last time we left off at this part. When you're wondering, you're learning. I spend a lot of time trying to learn about things. I'm curious, and I wonder about all sorts of things. We learn so much by wondering. Noticing everyday beauty. Mr. Rogers shared his enthusiasm and appreciation for the world with us. He nurtured our curiosity by encouraging us to closely examine the things he brought to share with us, be it a bottle of bubbles, a colorful handmade quilt, or an intricate model airplane. He invited us to join him in admiring new things every day. When he snorkeled with oceanographer Sylvia Earle in a coral reef, we witnessed his reverence for the beauty of the ocean and all its wildlife. Wondering and marveling is never a waste of time. We have so many things that we think about and feel and are curious about, don't we? Of course! That's how we learn things. We think about them, we have feelings about them, we're curious about them. That's part of who we are. Being curious about things really helps us to learn. I like to learn new things and learning more and more about old things. I've always wanted to know how things work and how people make things work. Staying curious. Mr. Rogers introduced us to so many talented people, musicians and artists, athletes and dancers, and invited us to watch them do what they loved. As he observed them, he asked questions that demonstrated his curiosity and helped us appreciate talented people too. He reacted with open appreciation for their efforts, whether it was a ballet dancer unfolding her body like a flower, a child break dancing, or a juggler keeping several balls in the air at once. It makes me feel good to see people who are doing something they love to do and enjoying the work of it. Isn't it wonderful to think that every one of us has a different talent, something that we can use to help us and someone else? Slowing down. One way that Mr. Rogers encouraged us to marvel was by giving us plenty of time to contemplate and examine the things he brought to share with us each visit. He might hold up a toy and turn it over in his hand, inviting us to look at it from all angles, showing us how it worked several times while asking questions to stimulate our curiosity. He let us focus and observe, sometimes in total silence. He once asked us to examine an African violet for a full 25 seconds, encouraging us to take a long look. When we were through, he asked, "Do you like to look at something like this plant really carefully? If you do, that's one way to know you're growing." Every once in a while, do you just like to take your time with what you're doing? We are all neighbors. Everybody's different, and there are some things about everybody that are the same. That's what's wonderful. That's what helps us to understand each other. That we've got some things inside of us that are the same as somebody else's. We're all human beings. We're each unique, yet we're all the same. Mr. Rogers was welcoming to all visitors. Through him, we met people from different cultural and racial backgrounds, with a range of abilities, skills, and strengths. We watched Mr. Rogers approach every person with delight, and we understood his appreciation for each visitor. The qualities and experiences that made their particular visit something new and exciting to celebrate. We can always try to remember that we're much more than one thing. We are much more than our arms or our legs or our eyes or our skin or our hair. We're even more than our thoughts. Once you get to know people, you find that there is much more to them than what you see when you look at their outsides. It's the heart and not just the eyes that discovers what's real about us. Here's a conversation between Daniel and Francois Clemens. Daniel: Mr. Clemens, why is everybody so different on the outside and so similar on the inside? Francois Clemens: I don't know. We do look very different, but we have many of the same feelings. Daniel: I get sad sometimes. Do you? Francois Clemens: Of course I do. Daniel: And I get really happy sometimes. Do you? Francois Clemens: I certainly do. And you know one of the reasons I'm happy right now? Daniel: Why? Francois Clemens: Because I enjoy talking about serious things with you. Each one of us is special, and it's because of who we are inside. You and your family and your neighbors, we're all different, and we all have something to offer our world. And I trust that you're growing to understand that well. Everybody's different, and everybody's valuable. Every time you look at somebody, please remember that nobody else in the whole world is exactly like that person. That person is one of a kind, just like you. Isn't that wonderful? And that's the end of the story. So here's a little bit something about the authors of this book. Fred Rogers Productions inspires a lifetime of learning by creating quality children's media that models an enthusiasm for learning and earns the trust of parents and caregivers. Melissa Wagner is a writer and editor who had the honor of working with Fred Rogers on several books, including the Mr. Rogers Parenting Book and Mr. Rogers Playtime. She lives in Pittsburgh with her husband and their daughter. Max Dalton is a graphic artist and illustrator whose work is featured in the Wes Anderson collection. He lives in Buenos Aires, Argentina. So I hope you enjoyed this book. It is available at the North Brunswick Library, and the call number is 158.1W. Take care, everyone. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.